My sister is my best friend. I love her. We are a kindred spirit. You know, we live in different cities, and you know, Deryl has a couple of cities and states that she lives in. We are identical. We are one egg that's split. So they say we have the exact same genes. We look a little different, but we have the exact same mannerisms. We have the same laugh. Everything is the same.
Remember at Howard, you used to double book dates.
Right. I am Cheryl McKissack Daniel, President and CEO of McKissack & McKissack, the nation's oldest Black-owned design and construction firm. Our history dates back 5 generations, so I am 5th generation in our business. The first descendant of our family came here in 1790 as a slave, and his master taught him the trade of making bricks. And we believe at some point he received his freedom.
He was from the Ashanti tribe in Ghana. He was a builder as a slave and passed the trade of building down to our great-grandfather, who passed it to our grandfather. So we are really from the Ashanti tribe in Ghana.
Deryl and I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee, on Fisk campus, on Tennessee State campus. Our grandfather has a PhD from Harvard from 1936. I feel extremely honored and blessed to have been born with that type of history, and that we know the history, and that people are interested in our history. One day, Deryl and I are at a birthday party for my mother's godson, and we were probably 9 or 10. And we walk outside, and it's a small yard, and there is a cross burning, a huge cross, 6 feet high. And I had never seen anything like that. It scared us to death. And that's when we began to realize, oh my God, we lived in this little cocoon, and now we're seeing that there are people who really hate us. And it's hard to grasp that when you are around the, educated and elite people that we were around. And that was the first time that I realized that there was racism. And there has not been one day since then that has changed that.
Well, we were kind of sheltered because we had a grandfather who was the dean of Fisk University, and his wife, my grandmother, was a professor.
Our father was an architect, and he took over the business from Uncle Calvin, which was Moses McKissack III's brother. He used to take Deryl and I to his office on Saturdays, and then of course over the summer we were interns. But he would take us to his office, and we started off just tracing documents. When we decided, we wanted to look for colleges, and because we went to a private school, all of our friends were going to Ivy League schools. So we would say, we're gonna go to Harvard, we're gonna go to Princeton, and we're gonna do all of that. And so Daddy said, listen, you can go anywhere you wanna go, but I'm only paying for Howard University. So we ended up at Howard, which was great. Our father wanted us to be architects. We wanted to be engineers. And so when it came to the evolution of how we got our starts in our business, my mother had taken over from my father, and she called up my boss and she said, Cheryl is quitting today and she's coming to work for me. And then she called me and she said, I just told your boss you're leaving today, so pack up your stuff and get on the next plane to Nashville. I was really upset, but she really needed the help. So I went back to help her. At the same time, Deryl was working in DC at Howard University. She was handling the facilities there. And then she decided to start her own business. Right now, one of the most exciting projects that we are working on is the JFK Airport. And that's important because we have investment bankers, Carlyle Group, who is joint venture with Magic Johnson Enterprises and Loop Capital, which is a Black investment firm, to build JFK Terminal 1. And it's very interesting because the owners have a minority partnership. They have made sure that there is a minority or woman in every aspect of this project. It's about $6 billion. And we are program managers on that project. We're at the World Trade Center as a sub-consultant to two very large contractors. So Harlem Hospital, we were one of the contractors there. Medgar Everett's College in Brooklyn, Pier 42. We're part of the Studio Museum right now with Siami Construction.
I started in architecture, but grew the business to program management and construction management. So we're a management company for design and construction projects, usually over $100 million. Many of them are billion-dollar programs and projects. I may have had a very well upbringing in the sense that I had, some amount of wealth as a child, but I started my company with $1,000. By myself with an okay business plan, but I had a lot of passion and determination.
Deryl is the architect of record for the MLK. That is just mind-boggling. She is also the program manager for the African American Museum. She's program manager for the Obama Library. Yes. So I am extremely proud of her.
It feels like a true sense of accomplishment whenever you finish something this important to the nation, such an iconic landmark. And what Dr. King stood for, which was racial justice for all, for a firm like ours to be the designers and construction managers, lead design builders on a project like this on the National Mall, and it was our first one from beginning to end. It's really what Dr. King stood for. So it makes me feel great. All the monuments that we have designed and built and are working on, all of the Fortune 500 companies we've worked for, all the cities that we've built new faces for, I am still testifying today on minority participation in a city, even at this level, because at the end of the day, people look at us as a minority firm. And I do hear, that we have a great reputation and people who've worked with us say great things and they talk to people. Still, we're put under a different scrutiny than our white counterparts.
I still am told, you really don't do the work, do you? Just a year ago, I had a developer, approach me. He needed my portfolio to work for this client because he did not have that experience. But he wanted me to he wanted 90% of his staff on the project and 10% mine. And I said, that's not how we operate. If you're gonna put McKissack in the lead, we're gonna lead this project. He said, you really do the work? I'm like, yes, we really do the work. So it has always been an issue, always. Right now, my sister and I, we're gonna put up our running shoes in about 10 years. So that we have to have faith that there's a future for our business and that we're gonna pass the baton to the next generation.
Aaliyah is my daughter, and she is 16, going on 17. Aaliyah has talked about she would like to do my job. But she also, and I know she's artistic, she happens to also have the math and sciences side because she does well in those classes. And but she talks about the design side of it, but more in fashion. I'm hoping that translates into buildings.
For a long time, I did want to become an engineer because I was like, I want to do what my mom does. So I did, but I feel like in recent years, I've become more interested in the fashion industry. I'm going to major in business, but she's been telling me that I should major in engineering still because a lot of engineers end up being great business managers. So I was like, so I'm considering it again.
I really feel like the architecture, engineering, and construction industry can change racism in America because we spend trillions of dollars, and it's going to take economics to change, where we are as a country, and to bring African Americans who's traditionally been left behind, to bring them on par with our white counterparts. I try to speak as often as I can to show people that there is an alternative out there, and there is success in our race, because we're taught that in so many different ways that there is not, but there is a lot of success, and that you too, anybody, can achieve this.